Your name is Jeannie Murphy.
Yes,
right?
My name is Jeannie Murphy, yes.
And do you want to say how old you are or no?
I'll be 59 this January, so
Okay.
just a couple more weeks.
I'm going to be 51 tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Your birthday, yeah. So you were diagnosed as I was in 2008, right?
I believe it was 2007. The end of 2007, because they when I first had that huge lump that appeared out of nowhere.
Oh, that was right. You noticed a lump. That's what happened first.
Oh yeah, it was about the size of a tangerine, but it was red, inflamed, and it hurt. So I said, well, it's an infection.
And pain is a good thing, by the way. I don't know if anybody's told you that.
Right. Yeah, that's
pain
usually
is a good thing.
That's a good sign. Usually it's benign if it's painful. So that's exactly what I was thinking, and that was the 2 days before Christmas.
In 2007.
Yeah, and I called up the doctor the day before Christmas, and obviously I knew he wouldn't be there, so I made an appointment to go see him for the day after Christmas. And he agreed, that was my primary physician, he agreed that it was probably a mammary gland infection, because the way it had popped up so quick. When it wasn't there, and a few days later it was. And then he said he also he put me on a high dose of antibiotics.
Okay.
And made an appointment for me to go see the surgeon that had done a biopsy on me the year before.
And the biopsy the year before was clear, correct?
Yes, that was nothing. And so I said, well, I went to see him, and he said he wanted to remove it. And I said, it's already down. In 3 days' time, it had shrunk to half of the size that it was because of the antibiotics. And he said, well, that's good, continue to take the antibiotics, but I still want to take it out. So I said, okay, I really didn't want to do that.
Had you had a mammogram too that you didn't decide, and the mammogram you didn't like the way things looked?
No, the mammogram came up perfectly clear.
Oh,
nothing showed up on the mammogram.
Or you also said the MRI was clear too, correct?
Yeah, and that was a little bit later.
Unbelievable.
But he decided that we went in and he did the biopsy on it, and a couple of days later he came back and he said that they had taken out a little tiny lymph node out along with the mass, and the lymph node had cancer cells in it.
Okay.
So we went from there.
So the lymph node and the mass had cancer cells in them both?
Well, no, the mass was just an infection.
Okay.
It was an infected mammary gland. But when they took it out, it had a lymph node in it, and the lymph node had the cancer cells in it.
Okay.
So he said he wanted to do a lymphectomy on me and remove some lymph nodes. And he said that before I had that done, we went down for an MRI of my breast. And we went down, and he said he could barely see anything in that. They just knew the area that they were looking at, and he says studying it very hard, it looked like there might be something there, but it wasn't a positive thing. So when I went in for the biopsy, for the lympectomy, he told me they usually do like 6 or 7 lymph nodes. He says maybe 8.
Yeah.
He says that usually gets it. And when I came out, I was, it was pretty painful. I had quite a large scar there, and he said that they took out 18 lymph nodes, and 14 of them had cancer.
Wow.
And he said when he did it, there would be a pathologist there, and he would check everything as he was removing it and all. And I don't know I can't remember whether it was HER positive or HER negative, whichever one is the bad one.
It was her positive, yeah.
So he said that
based upon the medicine you got, I know you are her positive.
He said it's very aggressive, and so I went through my chemotherapy, regular chemotherapy, and I was very lucky with that. I got a little bit nauseous and stuff with it, but nothing really bad. I didn't get real ill like a lot of people get really ill. But he gave me nausea medicine at the time that I got the treatment. Plus, I also had pills to take at home if I got nauseous. So that helped quite a bit. But I was very run down.
Yeah.
Just tired. There was days when, in a 4-day period, I might have been awake for an hour and a half.
I know.
Just slept my life away.
I know.
And so I did all that, the chemo, and then after the chemo, I did 36 radiation treatments. It was supposed to have been 30, but the last 6 was some kind of higher dose.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Type thing that they did, and that burned me real bad. I got burned real bad for that, and they had to quit treatment for a couple of weeks and have special salves.
Did you actually have skin coming off, skin peeling off,
big
and all that?
blisters, huge blisters, and it was sore. But we got past that finally. That was worse than the chemo, really, because it hurt, you know. And we got past that and all, and then they decided to put me on Herceptin. And they said there was, you know, because of the type of cancer that I had, it was very aggressive. The Herceptin has something to do with the little T.
Now, is the Herceptin something you take after chemotherapy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I'd already done the chemo,
So
and I
do
did the
tamoxifen
radiation.
for ER/PR.
And the
Yeah.
Herceptin is a drip. I had to be in a hospital or a clinic environment to have it.
Oh.
Because they said that it's bad for your breathing. And I said, well, you know, I have asthma. And they said, yeah, but, you know, the lesser of two evils here, you know. And it's also bad for your heart. So I had to go in and have my an echocardiogram.
Probably a mugga.
Yeah, a mugga. I had to have a mugga scan. And my heart was in excellent shape. It was supposed to be 60%, and I was actually like 65 to 68%. The man that took it talked to me in the hospital about that. And he said it was excellent. So we continued, you know, I started doing that. That was once every 3 weeks. I had to drive into Fort Pierce. That's about an hour drive, right? Because they couldn't do that in town. The hospital here doesn't do that, so. And
that's one of the problems too with medicine these days. It's a matter of having access to. And people don't realize that if you live out in a rural area,
yep,
you don't have easy access to.
and you don't have any choice in who your doctors are. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about you.
No, I know.
All the
I know you're
doctors
not.
out here are excellent. My only complaint that I had through it was that my oncologist didn't really pay as much attention as he should have, because during my Herceptin treatments, I should have gone back and had a couple more Muga tests done during the whole thing, which he didn't send me for, and I didn't realize I had to have them.
I was concerned about that too. So I got on my own. I got my heart checked out because
I started that like in September, and it was supposed to be for a year, every 3 weeks for a year, and I started having a lot of breathing problems, like March. It was getting really bad in my breathing, and they changed my my asthma medicine a couple times, and the last thing we did, and it was, you know, in July, they put me on a nebulizer, and I was doing that nebulizer for about 4 days, 5 days, I guess, maybe, and I told my husband, on a Sunday, I says, man, that stuff just doesn't feel like it's working.
right.
I got up Monday morning, and I couldn't breathe. I bent over to pick something up, and I just came up gasping for air, and I told my husband, I said, that's it, let's go to the hospital. I said, because it can't be asthma,
Yeah.
because I'm just taking too much medicine for the asthma. So we got to the hospital, and I had congestive heart failure. I went from my 65%, like an extraction fraction, I think it's called, from 65% down to 5%.
Wow.
And they said that I was critical, and I was considered to be a sudden death risk. And they put me on several different heart medications, and they kept me in there for 10 days. And then they sent me home, and I was on several different heart medications that I'm still taking. And they said if my heart improves, they'll continue doing that. But there's not a significant improvement, I would have to go in and have a defibrillator put in.
Okay.
So since then, this is December now, I've gone up to 45% now. So I am improving the
Oh, good,
medication.
good,
So,
excellent.
so it's coming back.
Well, I didn't know that was reversible at all.
Well,
That's good to know.
they said sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't.
Oh, that's really good to know.
So mine
That's one of my fears too.
apparently it did work for me, and it was reversible, and it came back. And you know, so now every time I get a little out of breath and all, I don't think asthma anymore. So
Yeah.
it's gotta be my heart. You know?
Stop for a minute.